It is a very warm welcome from Super League HQ, where tonight I'm joined by not one, but two of the great characters of our stellar online content. Let's first say hello to the man whose dulcet tones we haven't heard for a while, and I'm sure if he is to achieve a Q in the next few days, then we will get a rendition of a classic song. Good evening, Mr. Tato Mourinho.
Good evening, all. Yes, when the queue arrives in a week or so, I'll sing for you all. Yeah.
Lovely. Looking forward to that. And a very good evening to a man who I appreciate no one in the chat can see this, but because of the lighting in his room, he looks like he's being interrogated by the authorities. A very warm welcome to defending champion Steve Wright. How are you, pal?
You mate, I'm good, sir.
Good. Very good to have you both on. It was a busy show Friday night with 4 co-coms at one point, and now we've got 2 excellent co-coms. There we go. Steve sorted his lighting out. We can see him again now. Oh no, he's gone dark. We're not going to be able to see Steve's reactions to anything tonight. That's for sure.
You could say that he sat in the shadow of doubt.
Well, one thing that isn't in doubt, Tato, is the fact that they've qualified for the playoffs again. So they are on track to try and defend their title. It's very unlikely, however, Steve, that you're going to finish second this year.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Colchester and Churchtown both need to lose both games, really, in essence. And that's
really,
definitely
they
not. Do. Yeah, so I mean, you look at my goal difference swing as well. Obviously, I'm delighted to have best defence in the league so far, but yeah, we've been very. They've all been scrappy games.
Dull.
Very dull. I totally agree. But it's got the job done. It's got us there, and let's set about making history, being first outside top 2 and do it.
And Tato, as for yourself, the season is still alive. 3 points, the gap between you and being above the dotted line.
Yeah, it shows how bad some of the other teams have been when I've only won 7 games and I'm still in with a shout. Everyone
says that, that the mythical mark is 40. It's certainly not going to be 40 this year. Realistically, do you think you're going to need 36 to stand any chance?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. The way I'm looking at the fixtures, 36 has to be got.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just a little note on the battle at the bottom. Interesting there as well, with Sloths and Burn battling it out for last place, 2-point gap. Before ball's kicked tonight, Steve, who are you expecting of those to finish bottom?
Like I was telling you boys before we come on, this Sloths tactic not only intrigues but worries me a little bit. Never seen a Hodgie side concede 45 goals ever, but obviously it's the players he's got at disposal. Ian's more than capable of getting off at the bottom. It's just I've Sloths got enough to string a couple of wins. I do feel Burn might get a win in the last 2 games. It's just whether Sloths will, and that if it's going to be, it probably will be tonight. But it's interesting to see how it's going to pan out.
And how about you, Tato? Who are you backing for bottom?
Yeah, I think Sloths will finish bottom. I think Burn are playing a more recognised formation that he is recognisable to him.
Okay.
And Hodgie's just having a mess about.
Well, I've been asked to purely, and I can see he's in the chat now, I've been asked if Jens can go early for about the 5th game week in a row because he's turned into Greavesy and likes to go to bed early these days. So let's get into the action and go straight to Hulls against Devils, which obviously has massive implications for everybody. 5th versus 6th here. And this is the Hulls team. Last time out, they beat Loco 3-0 Friday night. Pjanovic away on international duty. The one change is on the bench. No change to the starting 11. Hulls, so again, looking at the table, Hulls are 50. They've been decent. They don't draw a lot of games. They either win or they lose. In a way, does that make them dangerous going into the playoffs? I mean, they're all but there on 37 points.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how he's gone about. He's sort of settling a bit, and he's finally over the last few weeks finally got that elusive getting a result after getting a result, whereas he was notably winning games, losing games. The thing is, when I was doing stats earlier, the thing I did notice, he's done it again. Javier Saviola came into us last season and he got 14 or 15 goal contributions in 15 games. I noticed he's up at 4 assists. He had 2 when he left us. So he's got 4 assists in 4 games so far. He's played at AMC all the time, where everybody will predominantly say he can't play AMC. I never played him at AMC for that reason. And fair play to him for getting them numbers out of him in that position as well.
And Tato, I'm presuming, again, if you refer back to the table, with Halls so far away, you're purely looking at Devils as the only one for anyone to catch. So you're rooting for a Halls win here?
Yeah, obviously, I think a Devils win here pretty much ends everyone else's chances of getting in the playoffs. So this could be a very grumpy Tato if the Devils win.
Okay, sticking with you then, sir. There's no Ayala, there's no Vieira, there's no Kesman available for Devils. And Rob has altered his tactic to something that has a lot of arrows.
Oh, my.
Yeah, the majority of the arrows I absolutely love. Like, there's no problem with most of them. I'm very excited to see how a team plays with no DMC in the Super League. I think it's well overdue someone trying it. He's got Van Bronckhorst, who's quality, could quite easily sit in there, and Soroczynski and Zauri the other side or whatever. But I love it, absolutely love it. Why?
And quite controversially, Adani gets a place on the bench against his former side, a man that Jens didn't really want to lose, but having demoted him into the reserves, he became available, and Rob took up the option, basically on the basis that any combination of Ayala, Nesta and Montero are always unavailable, so it's good to have someone else there as an option. No place for Etu in the team. Henry and Mpenza both start. Ventola back on the bench. Last time out, they were humbled 2-0 away at Churchtown. So if I can, Steve, for the first time tonight, ask you for a score prediction.
I think drag it out a little bit. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I just really think if Van Bronckhorst was sat in that hole and Welland's not there, that team is probably the best 11 that Devils can put out and would compete.
Shit,
so it's going to be interesting to see.
What are you talking about? Any 11 that has Welland starting is not the best 11 Devils can put out.
That's what I mean. If Van Bronckhorst were there sitting in DMC instead of Welland's, that's the best 11 they can put out. And it's going to be interesting to see him play with no DMC. So, but I just think Hulls are free scoring as well at the minute, but I don't think it's going to be one apiece.
Tater?
I was going to say 1-1, but it's boring, so I'll go 2-1 Hulls.
2-1 Hulls. Let's find out who is correct. Massive game for particularly those chasing the top 6. And it's Mpenza who scores first on 13 minutes to give Devils the lead. Huge goal for them. Taylor's saying a Devils win ultimately ends the season for everybody else. So they will be looking for Hulls to get back into this. Yellow card for Rustico, who is right near the top of that disciplinary list. And it's 1-1. Saviola, the man that Steve was talking about in the build-up. But Thierry Henry makes it 2-1, and now Steven Gerrard goes off injured. It is all happening in this first half. I would imagine that we're finally going to get the competitive debut of Song Jong-kook in the Super League for Hulls. We will wait Jens say so, but there he goes. He's straight in. Love that, Jens. Thank you. So in comes Cook. So yes, Thierry Henry scoring for Devils as Gerrard goes off injured to give the home side a 2-1 lead. And it's still the home side coming forward, looking for a third before half-time. Tato's looking nervous in the studio. And it is 3-1. It's Harry Kuehl who scores, head in hands in the studio, beer in hands in the other co-commentator. And there is the half-time whistle. Devils leading Hulls 3-1. And Steve, to be fair, the text commentary and now the chances created in the match stats do suggest Devils have been on top that first half.
Yeah, I mean, they've come good right when it matters for Rob. The thing is with this, on a personal point of view, I absolutely love Jens to bits. But as Taylor says, this will probably cement Devils' place. I think third place 6th and fourth place 5th, going into a knockout game to try and get there. A Devils into form are going to be really dangerous. But yeah, that's a really, really good attacking performance so far from them.
And however, Tato, as Rob says in the chat, this is one of his sides, so it's not over yet. Let's have a look at the stats, and it's pretty solid ratings throughout. Frey, the only player not rating a 7 or higher. Mpenza, Steve was mentioning Devils coming into form. Mpenza's now got a couple of goals in his last few games. And crucial that Nestor's in form for them as well.
Yeah, I mean his team is class. That bottom 5 players he's got there, and then you've got the centre halves and the wing backs. They are absolutely class. They should be sitting 3-1 up at half time. So yeah, sad. I can't see it being turned around, which is sad.
Rob going as is. Jens is at a family gathering, but drunk, still turning up for this. Costanzo is really letting down with 5 rating. All of the defensive players as well there. This is very un-Halls-like. Even Malevsky, look at that. They are all struggling to deal with this Devils side.
They're under a hell of a lot of pressure, aren't they, from all the forward arrows?
Looking at the bench, Mido, the only attacking option. Steve, do you see him coming on at half-time against his former side and making any sort of difference?
I mean, it wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be a bad thing to do. Try to get. Everybody knows what players are like against the former clubs, but it's there though. Is it? With how well Saviola's doing, does he bring him on for Tristan and play him up front, or does he pull him back into AMC, where predominantly AMC where he did well for you when you had him at Devils? See that again, Rustico, that's his 13th yellow card at season as well. It's just been an absolute liability in a sense for Jens. I mean, it's his worst rating he's getting so far. He's been superb when he's played, but it's to have 3 main players on yellow cards there going into playoffs, if you're not banned for the next game, and to play again next game going into the playoffs, that could be massive for him.
Well, credit to Halls, they're going for it. So Saviola's being pushed up to make a front 3. Van Bommel's getting an arrow, and Mido is coming on for Diego Tristan. So Halls are going for it, Tater.
Yeah, he may as well at this point. In games like this, when so much happens first half, whatever you did, much difference. So I'm hoping this is an anomaly to that. But yeah, come on, you Halls.
Come on, you Halls is the message. Let's go to 60 and see what happens. Oh, there was an early chance for Devils to absolutely make sure of it. 57 now on the clock. Bowyer missing the target. Oh, and it was on the volley. Halls coming close, and there's Saviola again. And we pause the game on 60 with Halls having a free kick in an attacking position. The Death or Glory hole formation certainly working for Devils at the minute, Steve.
Yeah, they're doing extremely well. They're holding out. They've got players all on 7s and above. And if Halls are still struggling in terms of ratings, you can't see anything but them really carrying on and getting to the end of the game as it is at the minute.
And it has to be said, we mentioned the tactical change, Tato, at half-time. Halls are all but qualified for playoffs, so it's credit to them still going all out for this result in respect of the other teams still chasing 6.
Yeah. I like the attacking changes. I'm annoyed that we've gone with this one first, because that means that the next 6 games are dead.
Well, I wasn't originally planning
win.
to go for this one first, but Jens did ask to go early, and you can't really say no when I say yes to everyone else.
Nah, true that, mate. No blame anywhere. I'm just disappointed.
So there is the change.
Not winning.
Van Bronckhorst coming on and dropping into the DM hole. As for Halls, extend win back arrow, please, and that's it. And then he said, no, wait, let me see the yellow cards. So we'll leave this on the screen just for a moment. Sol Campbell is available to come on, should he be required. Nice to not have the TV cameras cutting to me in the stands after another wob at disaster class, says Hodgie. Jens just deciding whether to bring one of the centre halves off that are on a yellow card. Steve did mention it at half time. Having 3 key players. Campbell on for Malevsky. Milevsky. Interestingly, he's asked to see the yellow cards, then brought someone off who isn't on a yellow card. Right, so Campbell on for Milevsky, swap with Hoffland. There we go. So we've got extended arrows on the wing backs and Sol Campbell coming on for Halls. Let's see if that has any sort of effect. They carry on having some set pieces, but failing to score. All of the 70s go past without anything really happening. It doesn't look like it's going to happen for Halls here, unfortunately. And there was Mpenza with another chance. Bowie is still heavily involved. Saviola puts it over the bar. And there's the full-time whistle. And no Gio, no party. Devils run out 3-1 winners to, you would imagine, secure their place in the playoffs, narrowing the gap on Halls. It is a shame for everyone chasing. Tato is not happy in the studio. Steve, Hall's definitely put up a fight, though, looking at those stats.
Yeah, if you could, it doesn't look like a 3-1 game. Passes completed, tackles won are all extremely similar. Yeah, I think they've been very unlucky, but when Devils have a good day, that's what Devils can do and could have done all season. If they settle with this all season or something of this ilk and how he's set up, I think there's definitely a clout for him being a lot further up the table.
Just the conversation now, Macca asking if that's the playoffs wrapped up formally. It's not the case. It's just everyone believes it very much is. Dimble saying it's a dead league. Jens saying he's 100% dropping out the playoffs. And Duggan saying if Dragons beat Haggis, it's not over. It goes to the last day. Is Stee in a well? No, he's not. He's being interrogated by the authorities. 3 teams can still catch Devils if they win, says Dimble.
You see league table?
We could do a live league table. This is on the assumption everyone else is drawn. And it would look like this. So if, on the basis that neither Dragons or Loco or Leddersford win, then it's over. But as long as any of those teams win, it goes to the last game.
I was looking at Hools as well.
Just seeing if they're catchable.
For somebody. Not really goal difference. Okay.
Let's have a look at the individual team performances. And we said it was strong at halftime, Tato, but Devils just looked even more imperious by full time, didn't they?
Yeah. Quality that I remember back to a time when he didn't play Zowry. That was a weird time. And also I'm very happy that a team with no DMC won, because I think it opens up possibilities going forward, which is great.
Excellent. Look forward to seeing what your creative mind comes up with. Unorthodox running order, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Hodgie, as explained, this one wouldn't have been first choice to go first, other than the fact that Jens asked to go early so he could watch it. So if anyone else wants to complain that the season's over because Devils have won, blame Jens for not letting his games be late anymore. Let's have a look-see at Hull's side. And in fairness, it wasn't awful. I mean, it's not a great debut by the substitute John Cook, is it? But a lot of the ratings are decent. They just came up against Devils when they were at their very best.
Yeah, I mean, Rustico, that 8 is what Rustico's done all save, in fairness, after season 1. He coming for us and he was superb. And especially last season, we're absolutely good. Now still believing in a Bosman. Costanzo picking himself up from a 5, that's massive for Jens, because he's thrown some absolute stinkers in as Costanzo throughout the whole time in the save as well. But yeah, another goal for Saviola. There's still positive set there when you look at Van Bommel, who's been predominantly not great as well, coming into form before playoffs. So still plenty for him to take from that, and he's obviously, like I say, I think he's more than likely, and he definitely might even have the cue by the end of the night now. So.
Well, let's move on to game number 2, which will be Gazelles against Churchtown. Gazelles lost that 7-goal thriller on Friday night against Dragons, which left the co-commentator at the time very happy. No Terry or Mourinho for this game. Another tactic change, and I believe the official line is this is the last submission by Martin for this season, as he's away. and Dan will be taking over for the last game. Whether it's Martin's last in the Super League, I suppose we're yet to wait to find out. See which managers are retained for the new system. But Tato, this is very attacking looking, isn't it? You must be loving the sight of this.
Oh, I am. I'm very happy to see FLR being used. I'm gagging to see if anyone can get them playing. I do not like the 3 AMCs behind 3 strikers, though. That stresses me out that they match up and not playing in the gaps. But yes, I love it. Love the creativity, and it's going to get spanked.
The defeat to Dragons ended Gazelle's season, Steve. But as we were saying on Friday night, alongside the co-commentators, they've certainly proved a lot of people wrong in how they've performed this season, and I think Martin and Dan deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, definitely. I would say they're everybody's finishing bottom, which were understandable, given although Sloths don't have a great squad. I don't think Gazelles did either. But they made a couple of signings that they've been a bit interesting for them. They've changed tactics up a little bit, and obviously, I think the one that hasn't worked for him, Terry, coming in, I think he's been pretty terrible since coming in, which obviously I think it'll please. A 7.13, I don't think it tells the whole story. Let's take up, and didn't he get blasted by media from his substandard performances recently as well?
Yeah, John Terry, Clarence Seedorf, and somebody else have all been blasted in recent weeks by the media. Yeah,
which is obviously just means that even if they look like they've got a decent average rating, they just have a spike of a couple of games to pull it up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this madness goes.
Churchtown still without a number of players, Tato, but they are chasing second, so it's must win for them really. They go with just one change, and that's Luke Chadwick back in the side, who has been being praised by the coaching team recently. He comes in for Zambrotta.
Yeah, Chadwick never let him down earlier in the season when he played. I remember you were raving about him every week, weren't you? Because he was on. Last season, to be fair. Sorry about that. Yeah, but as a winger, he's not going to let you down. He's going to do all right. And in this side, the way they're playing, it's sum of its parts sort of thing. He just slots straight in, and they should probably carry on with business.
They are 4 points behind Fulchester. Do you see them getting second, or do you think they'll have to settle for third stroke fourth?
I think it'll be very, very tight, because I think Fulchester are not necessarily stumbling, but just at Churchtown are really firing at the moment. So 1 point in it, I reckon.
Let's ask for a score prediction then, please, Mr. Mourinho.
3-1. Churchtown.
Steve?
Yeah, something similar, mate. 3-0, 3-1, Churchtown.
So a lot of confidence in Churchtown for this one, not being caught out by the very attacking style of Gazelles. Gazelles have started quite well here, though. And Luke Chadwick, on his second start of the season, goes off injured again. The reason, apart from Zambrotta's form, he did have quite a nasty injury early in the season. I imagine, and I don't know if you agree, Steve, we're going to see Agahauer drop out wide and Hersey come on, who Dimbal's been saying he's been waiting to have an opportunity to play. Yeah,
Hersey's been very good when he's come off the bench. I think Agahauer's been very good for him as well. I can see him, although he don't like it, swapping Bolodenkov and Hersey out left.
That's exactly what he's done. Luscious Luke, says Haggis as he goes off the pitch. Let's resume the action. No chances created. Seedorf getting involved. And now Volodenkov, who goes out to the right-hand side, gets himself sent off. What the fuck is going on out on this Churchtown right-hand side? So, Tato, I'll ask you this time. I think Agahauer's going to come out to this right wing. What do you think?
Yeah, Agahauer outright and then Brugging central, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Who's on the left there? Is it who've they got left forward? Pinardi. They're all just
Pinardi.
hacking Pinardi down.
Causing absolute carnage. Agahauer right and one AMC with an arrow on, says Dimble.
Churchtown's playing this season has been absolutely unbelievably bad.
Is that right? Is Churchtown been particularly bad?
7th red card at season.
Herself on swap. I have no idea what Hodgie's saying. Herself on swap sides with Volodenkov.
Hersey, I think.
I think he might
is
be
that a really
reacting to
old
something
comment?
that happened like 5 minutes ago, possibly. He may be slightly behind. Hussein does score his 15th of the season to give Churchtown the lead. Dan and Martin could secure me second here, scene, says Macca. Well, not at the moment, as Churchtown do lead at the break in a game of very, very few chances, Steve.
Yeah, it's negating whatever Churchtown are doing, all them players in them attacking positions. I think there were a bit of slander about it, but I think if there's a lot of players in the other part of the pitch, you do struggle to get forward sometimes, especially with the players at a level of Super League players. Dimble, especially going down to 10 men, will be massively happy with that. And if you look at how solid his defensive players have been, he can more than hold this out.
6s and 7s throughout for Gazelles, other than the two centre-backs who are both rating 5, Tato. Not really surprising when they've got so few players in defensive positions.
No, that's to be expected. I think it was a gamble to try and get some goals here. I think it's just he's got that block of 6 up front against Churchtown's block of
4,
6 at the back, and it's kind of stalemate. 4, but wing backs included. That's a big chunk of people knocking around. So yeah, stalemate.
Hodges realised he wasn't live. And that's why he was still reacting to the injury and my suggestion of what might have been happening with the substitutions. As for Churchtown, Steve, again, just the one player rating an 8, and it's the man leading the charge for the Golden Boot this year.
Yeah, that puts him top, and you're sort of happy there if you're going in at half time, regardless of a red card, and you're in front, and you know that a lot of your players have still got plenty more to give. I still think Dimble will be happier at 2 managers for definite.
Well, Dimble said roll till 60. Martin said he doesn't care. Dan can make a decision if he's around. I haven't seen him, so we'll roll to 60, and if Dan turns up, he can make some changes then. Let's see if the all-out attack of Gazelles can get them back in it. There's Ortega, and there's Anelka. He's not giving up on the Golden Boot himself just yet. All the time then flies by. Good pints or bad pints, Martin. Does Steve get a medal if Churchtown win it? Asks Archie. We are at, I think it's 67, 68 minutes. The Storm has forced Gazelles an equaliser. Do you foresee them making any changes? I've still not seen Dan in the chat, Steve, so the answer's probably no. But looking at their bench and how they're playing, would you change anything?
I won't say no. When you look at I think obviously Zenden, from looking at your post earlier, got his training performances, so maybe a swap for Pinardi. But apart from that, I can't see him changing out if they've got themselves back into game.
Martin's now decided he does care, and he's doing exactly that change, Zenden coming on for Pinardi. As for Churchtown, Tato, if they do have ambitions to finish second, we've said they have to win. They do have Vieri to come on. Do they push 2 up top, or do you think they stick it out with what's tried and tested?
I think he'll probably stick because this formula's worked for him so well all season. I would be probably moving Petrov or one of the DMCs and just putting another striker on, but that's me.
Just to try and force the issue, particularly with how few players Gazelles have back there. We will just wait confirmation from Mr. Dimble. Again, a game with implications at the top. Evening Swanee, who has joined the chat. Martin's at a barbecue. Vieri for Brujink and 2 up top. Vieri on the left. Interesting that. I definitely would have been leaving Brujink on. He's come up with some very important goals during his Churchtown time.
Yeah, he likes that. He likes that back setup though, doesn't he? So that defensive line and the centre midfielder. So he's sticking with that.
Absolutely. Let's resume the action then. Both sides making changes. Let's see if Vieri can have an impact for Churchtown. And there's Anelka. Hedman does well. Seedorf takes the corner. Materazzi clears. 74 now on the clock as Agahawa. Now Hersey, Vieri, and Hersey again. Yellow card. Free kick to the away side. Fine save from Bartes. Now here's Mield. Mendes de Silva. Body check. Vieri lines up another free kick. Vieri's just coming on, taking all of the set pieces.
Why?
I've absolutely no idea. Smirta goes in the book. Vieri with another free kick that deflects off the wall. He is desperate to prove ahead of the new draft that he is worthy of being an elite level striker. Now Nakata, Zenden with a diving header gets it horribly wrong, and the game concludes 1 apiece. That is a massive result for Fulchester, Steve.
Yeah, that gives them second place, doesn't it? There's 4 points in it. It's near enough.
So as it stands, so they haven't actually got that point. There's 3 points if Fulchester lose.
Yeah, when you look at that swing of goal difference, it's pretty similar actually, isn't it? From that quick look. But yeah, I think looking at that, I think Dimble will probably be a little bit disappointed not to get a result against a formation like that, but be that will of a men. At least he's got a result of some kind and keeps himself in them.
Ian asking, when did Vieri go to Churchtown?
When he went back.
He went on loan after Luca Toni was recalled. Outplayed by 10 men, including a 7,000-year-old Hakan Mield. I think it's time for the towel to be thrown in, says Martin. Let's have a look. Anelka getting man of the match. I've made my thoughts perfectly clear on how good a game was when someone rating an 8 gets man of the match. So I don't really want to reflect too much on this one, Tato. But as I flick over to both sides, anything jumping out at you?
No. Vieri didn't have that many shots. By the looks of things, he didn't take that many free kicks, did he? Unfortunately, by the looks of that, with one shot.
Indirect ones, didn't he? For no obvious reason.
Yeah,
that's what all his passes are.
Don't get it. Pretty standard church standard.
Formation killed the football match. Would you agree, Tato? Do you think the fact that Gazelles did something completely out there was what killed it?
I just think they had so many players in that final quadrant, 6 all in one area, and if you don't get the ball to them, then the ball's just knocking about in the middle, not really doing much. So yeah, probably.
Let's move on, and we've got Northern Burn against Bostock Stanley. Burn have Medina suspended, but everyone else available. Everyone who played right mid had a shocker. Well, that's very true, Dimble. They go back to their sort of more usual formation now that they have centre-backs available. Defoe is leading the line with Robin and Brozek in behind. Zlatan on the bench, which means no place for Archie Baxter. Are you a little bit surprised?
For me, I love it a bit. Obviously, Michael Owens is a terrible player on this game. It shouldn't be. For me, Archie back with Brozek up top makes that team a better team. I know a lot of people is a bit like Amar, is Brozek. I mean, not Amar, sorry. A bit like Saviola. Same rating in editor for playing in AMC. It depends on your preferences. All his stats lead him towards being a big man up front. But Defoe got a goal since he's come in, and will be keeping his place.
Absolutely. Last time out, they did get beat by Fulchester, but they did play the majority of the game with 10 men. And if I remember right, they made a good account of themselves, in fairness. So let's see what they can do against Bostock tonight. Ian's saying looking forward to seeing Bostock's formation here, so we'll let you discuss it, Tato. And again, a team throwing a lot of players forward.
Yeah, well, they've negated that centre midfield role, which I'm notoriously don't particularly like. I really like that they've got the wide players at AMLR. Again, that's an underused position in the game. And if you're going to play it, Ronaldinho and Jax are probably the 2 best FLC, FRC in the league. Full stop, if not right now. Certainly right now, if not, overall. So, and his defensive line there, he's got no lie, does he? I've just noticed. But that defensive 5 are solid enough to look after everyone else.
Yes, live is suspended for this one. But no, you are right, and I particularly, as you say, when I was putting this team together, I was particularly interested in Jacques and Ronaldinho in these positions. I contemplated whether I might swap Ronaldinho and Gonzalez around, possibly myself. But other than that, I was quite interested to see what these two can do in this position. Steve, do you like the look of a team that doesn't have a centre midfielder?
Yeah, I mean, Ian did really well for it when Tato were picking Aggie's team with 4 DMs and 3 AMCs. It's proved that it can work. I mean, when you've got players like Lee Bowyer for me, or maybe it's just me that can't get a tune out of him. But I were happy with Zanoni. Ended up with about 7.2 last season. Just sat in there doing something. So.
Okay, sticking with you then, Steve. A score prediction, please.
I just think there's a lot of space for Amar and Totti to be in there. Obviously, Totti's Totti, but Amar, especially last season, were unreal. I'm going to go 2-1 Burn here.
2-1 Burn. Taylor?
2-1 Bostock.
So we've got 2-2-1 predictions, but one for each side. Let's find out if either will be correct. Bernstein quite quickly, Amar involved, but Ronaldinho now seeing plenty of the ball as well. And it's a 1-0, and there's Defoe with his goal. And Aymar makes it 2-0 to Burn. But it's there's 2-1 Lasisi with his first of the season. We are seeing goals. Will we see any more? Only 25 minutes on the clock. Up the goals, indeed. It's funny because sometimes Burn look like they're getting back to their best, and then the very next game, Ronaldinho makes it 2-2. It's been disallowed. He was offside. Tato. And Burn come forward again. And I'm seeing Aymar's name a lot. I think you're right, Steve. The amount of space in the centre midfield, he is lapping it up at the moment. But there's the half-time whistle. A very even game, in fairness. I think the only thing there that will frustrate Scott maybe is the fact that his size tackles are way, way down on where they should be, considering the players he's got at his disposal. But plenty left in it for the second half, Tater.
Yeah, plenty there. I mean, the Burn 11 is brilliant, really. I mean, aside from Defoe, who's doing well at the moment, the rest of it is absolutely class. I don't know why they're bottom of the league, but I'd say Bostock's team
game engine just
tackling,
decides, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. Tackling wise, because Bostock have got Cafu, I don't think he's a particularly strong tackler in there, and Welsh is more of a passer of the ball than a tackler, so they are missing some tacklers in that defensive midfielder role for me, which is why they've probably not won as many. Well, that's it was. What are you laughing at?
I'm reading the chat while you're coming up. I've just seen Scott's comments. I love the fact that everyone assumes that Swan has all these random stats just to hand. Please continue the point you were making. Strong half.
I was just saying it's a good strong half. That complaints there. Quality game, to be fair. Two interesting tactics. To play against each other, and it's then cancelling each other out. So it's nice to see.
Doesn't Welsh have 20 tackling? Asks Greavesy to that point. Steve, Scott's already said no change. He does this a lot without seeing his stats, and I think you've mentioned it before. He's one of the managers that just gets a feel for the text, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of times in this league where you've played games and the text has been far more comfortable at the time for you than the stats may suggest as well come full time. He's obviously, like I say, he's got a lot of players in there that can do jobs in the position. And I agree with Tato. You got Cafu in there. He's doing okay at the minute. I think like he alluded to about the tackles, he's only 1 out of his 5. He's probably contributing massively to that low percentage of tackling. But they're dangerous with the players they've got in that front six, and obviously that goal disallowed, they're getting forward enough. It's just and they've all got a bit more to give. So yeah, I'd certainly say that he's got more of a chance of getting a goal. It's just a case of are they capable of keeping Burn out.
Well, we've already had the information from Scott. I'm sure I saw Mr. Edwards was in the chat earlier. Oh, there it is. It has popped up. I missed that. Sorry. As is from him as well. So let's carry on to 60 and see if there are more goals to be had in this game. And there is a red card for John Welsh. He's got 19 for tackling, by the way, Greavesy. And that was for a push in the chest. It's one of the few that I've actually seen happen. Is Scott, given that he's losing, going to maybe pull D'Alessandro back, or do you think he'll keep this as it is, Tater?
I think, he's doing it. He'll keep it as it is. That's fine.
Ian does have the opportunity to amend because it's a red card, should he so wish.
I'll reply to Greavesy, if I may, if you're there.
Please.
I have 20 for tackling, Greavesy, but as you probably well know on the game, Greavesy, you're just winding me up. Some players like Welsh is in there to pass the ball. He's not in there to tackle. You rarely get a player who completes 10 out of 10 tackles and gets assists and scores goals. Everyone has a role, Greavesy. Welsh's role is to pass the ball. You moron.
And during that time, Ian said as was, and Raul levelled things up to make it 2-2. So we stopped the game on 62 minutes. Neither prediction correct, but we have had plenty of goals and excitement in this game. Red card, 4 goals, a disallowed goal as well. What is either manager going to do? Let's start with Bernstein. They've got Kennedy, they've got Zlatan. Should they want to make any attacking changes? Or do you think Ian keeps it as is?
Yeah, I mean, look at how fit all the players. You can't, especially season 5, you can't be taking Aaron Robin off for a back of your shoulder or Ibrahimovic, can you? So, yeah, he's done well so far. Maybe a little arrow on top to AMC for me personally, but again, he's had this one crazy season, and there's no justification for why it's happening. But so it's not for me to be advising, really.
Well, you were correct. Ian went as is, and Tato Scott's made 2 changes. Prutton coming on for Cafu. Now you mentioned his sort of tackling ability. Prutton coming on maybe a little bit stronger in that particular area. He's also brought Kutsov on for Gonzalez.
Yeah, the Prutton thing, he is someone who will tackle more successful tackles than Cafu, I would imagine, and Kutsov with his 20 for finishing and his pretty low stats elsewhere. I think he's a good one to be bringing on. I'm surprised he didn't start, to be fair.
Ian has now decided he is making changes. Kennedy on for Brozek, which is the complete opposite to what Steve was saying. Little diagonal arrow swap with Aymar. Do you mean like that? I'm guessing that's what he means.
Interesting.
Interesting that Totti isn't the one with the diagonal arrow, to be fair. I'll just wait Ian's confirmation that's how he wants it. I'm guessing it is. Yes, please. Perfect. So both sides have made changes. They're both going for the win, that's for sure. Let's see if either side is able to claim said win. Byrne having a couple of attempts themselves. .73 on the clock, still anyone's game this. Totti, Aymar, nothing comes from the set piece. Into the final 10 minutes. Kutsov picks it up. Karonko wins it, and Emerton sets off Totti and Kennedy. He's tripped, free kick, which Totti steps up and it's cleared away. Ronaldinho, D'Alessandro, Kutsov, Jacques. Still Jacques, now Raul and Ronaldinho, but Robin gets in the way and Byrne retain possession. It's out for a throw in 4 minutes to be added on in this one. Cannavaro sends a high ball up and Robin picks it up. And it's a yellow card this time for the CC. We're into those 4 minutes of added on time. Is anything going to happen? No is the answer. And this game finishes 2 apiece. Just about keeping Byrne's season alive, Steve, depending on Sloth's result later.
Yeah, I mean, on their basis, obviously I think Bostock brought themselves up from 45 to 50% tackling. In terms of attacking, it's fairly even, passes completed. I think they've been a bit more dominant, like I say, in terms of defensively of Byrne. So it probably shows that with them 8 shots on goal, that Byrne they've had to take a bit more of an onslaught from Bostock. But yeah, I think fairly, I think correct result there, given stats.
Let's have a look at the burn stats first. And Steve, you were mentioning the defensive stats, and there's Okoronkwo there with his 9 rating. Defoe again with his 3rd goal in 3 games as well. So not a bad little addition.
No, it's been good, and his stats are looking really good. The thing is with Super League, I think we were talking about it. I can't remember who we were talking about with it. Because the elite players are where they are, the players that need to develop get a big chance to develop because the elite players are already there. So when they got like a smaller group of players in the league, the players that look at live stats, Welsh's stats, they all get a chance to develop really well. And his stats look really good to Defoe. So it's not a surprise, really, given his stats, that he's doing so well.
And let's have a look at the Bostock side. Carlos Jacques picking up man of the match for his performance. And look, it was a very good performance all in, wasn't it, to be fair, Tater?
Yeah, to playing experimental formation like that and go down to 10 men after being 2-0 down as well, to draw 2-2 against a side that Burn can put out. It's a very good result for Bostock. Really enjoyed that, yeah. Good spot for Jacks out on the right there.
And you mentioned the difference Prutton might be able to make. I was just having a look. So in 63 minutes, Cafu attempted 5 tackles, completed 1. Prutton attempted the same amount of tackles in just 27 minutes. And, I mean, his completion rate perhaps not as high as you'd like, but it showed that he worked just as hard in terms of attempting the tackles.
He completed as many tackles as Cafu and Welsh put together, so in 20 minutes or so. So yeah, it's almost as though I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I've never doubted that to be the case, that's for sure. But this game concludes 2 apiece. We don't want Dudley v Sloths. Who are you playing again, Tater?
Aster.
So we don't want them. So let's go to the league leaders. Haggis against Dragons. A huge game to see if Dragons can keep their season going a little while longer. For Haggis, they make a couple of changes. Giggs comes back in for Cole with Kobiashvili moving into the centre. Del Piero comes in for Makoku. Do you see what Ian's doing here, Steve, in terms of he seems to be resting 1 key player per game at the moment?
Yeah, but if you're going to say that you're going to rest players, and I know you think this is a dig, it's not a dig, it's just a bit of a banter with him. But if you're going to say you're going to rest players, why just take one out of your lineup that he's got 100% shot completion rate this season, but there's been players that have been far more influential. Your Casas, your Duffy, your enemies. So I don't know. I don't get his thinking with that. To be fair, I agree with, on the face of it, doing this. Obviously, it's been alluded to about you're running with Devils. You rested a few players after being superb or finishing top, and it sort of hindered you going forward. I did it last season. I just kept running with it, and I had to deal with suspensions, injuries as they come. I do believe if you keep your same team going, it keeps a lot more consistency going. And then if you need to drop a player in or two, because you've already got that consistency in your formation, your team selection, it doesn't make as much difference as making wholesale changes beforehand.
It certainly is an interesting debate that we have every season, whether it's worth... I mean, the one thing I would say is he is only doing 1 player per game. He's not making wholesale changes, which is important.
You'll notice that he's played twice Kobiashvili because he wanted to play really well. Then he can laugh at everyone else and say that he's a brilliant signing.
As for Dragons, they make a couple of changes themselves. So David's replaced Zidane, who drops to the bench, with Bishkan coming back into defensive midfield. I want to say there was one more, but I don't think there was. No, everything else remained the same. Sure, there was one more. I better double check it. It's gonna bug me otherwise, unless Duggan's there and can confirm. But I'm sure there was supposed to be 2. Talk amongst yourselves just for a moment.
Yeah, I think this is, speaking to Duggan, it's possibly his best team. I mean, I'm putting Radoy aside because I hate the guy, but the rest of them playing in the right positions. They've got quality fullbacks. Simkoviak is absolutely class. I don't know him very well, but he's been absolutely class. And his strikers are scoring. You wouldn't much after a 5-2, but I know he loves Bishkan, so it's only improved from last game. So
It is that those were because it was on two lines. That's what made me think. It was the fact that David's moved and Bishkan in. I could see Duggan's confirmed it as well. We saw earlier they beat Gazelles 5-2 last time out. We know, given the other result, how important this is. Do you think, Steve, that this Dragons team, the one thing you'll expect is they are going to create chances, aren't they? And therefore they are likely to score goals. Are they strong enough to stop Haggis scoring?
Yeah, I think so. Like Tato said, Radoy, I know he's a liability in terms of
playing against his
red
former
card.
side as well.
Well, yeah, there is that, but Juliano can be a bit of, I think as you fell foul of a bit, he can be a bit, not quite Montero level, but he can be a little bit that way out. So yeah, again, if you take Radoy out, they've got more than enough with that defensive line. Zaylis has been, he was great for Dragons prior. It was great for him at Gazelles. He'll carry on being great. Bishkan's unreal signing on loan, in fairness. Let's be honest, everybody talks about me letting Luca Toni go. Bishkan were an unreal part of Fulchester's team last season as well, him and Butt. That same level of player that's played every game all season, getting loaned out, never gets said about. But the whole team is more than solid enough to get a win here.
It's a case of great minds think alike. As I asked the question, I went to see Dragons have kept 3 clean sheets all season, and Duggan piped up with his own stats about how many clean sheets they've kept recently. So this one certainly has potential to be an interesting game. Tato, I'll ask you first for a score prediction, please.
I will go 3-3.
3-3.
Yeah, 3-3.
Steve?
I think a loss will come for Haggis at some point, and I think they need to do it before the playoffs. So I'm going to go 2-1 Dragons.
2-1 to Dragons. And it's already 1-0. Mike Duff scoring again. And it's Del Piero's 2-0 already to Haggis. And they are looking to wrap this one up very quickly. Dragons look a little bit shell-shocked here. But there's Montella with his 5th of the season to make it 2-1. Can they just calm down a little bit? But Viduka makes it 3-1 to the home side. Tato's 3-3 might not be looking a million miles away at the moment. And there is the half-time whistle. 3-1 to Haggis Hunters, Tato. And they started like an absolute train and caught Dragons cold, didn't they?
Yeah. I love the Dragons, mate. Absolutely love watching them play. Their quality.
It's always carnage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. They've got some really good players, but the centre halves aren't very, very good, and he just pushes everybody else on, and it just works perfectly to watch. But Hunters they're lethal, aren't they, going forward? Absolutely lethal. They're not a million miles away from the record, as we saw at the start before we kicked off, of 61 goals, wasn't it?
They're now on 50.
That's not a million miles away from the most goals ever scored. They've got to be in the top 2 or 3 now in the whole iteration. So, yeah, class. Love it. First half was brilliant.
And having a look at their individual player ratings, a strong all-round performance with Yap Stam, the only outfield player not getting a 7 or higher. But then Dragons aren't forcing them to do that much defensively. Again, their midfield looks very strong, doesn't it?
Yeah, solid. Love it. Kobe Ashvili still not really doing much, Ian. Yeah, I bet you are fuming that everyone else is pretty much on an 8 and he's still on a rank average 7. Keep him on. Give him the 90.
Ian's saying roll. Before we've even brought the Dragons stats up, Duggan making changes, but that just looks awful, doesn't it, Steve? Nobody has turned up. I mean, Zayles and David's both getting 5s. Chiotis, I think he ended up on a 5 on Friday night as well. Baumer and Dyer even on a 6. It's just poor from all of the big players.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I don't think Dyer, Baumer, Davids and Zaylis will finish on them reins come end of game. We've seen it already tonight with big players on 5s and 6s and really go up to 7s and 8s. So I don't think they will come end of game. But Yeah, it's a bit of a mountain to climb here, and these changes that Duggan's doing, you've got to go for it. You've got to try and go back at a team that's going mad at you. But one thing I will say is, I think come redraft, I think Viduka has proved himself. It might be a little bit of hot property. He was 1-2 for us before we let him go. He did extremely well for Hulls, and he's just been absolutely superb for Aggies.
So I believe that is all of the changes. So it was Radoy for Carew, 1 at the back, 3 up top. Zidane for Zayaleas, 1 DM central, yeah. 2 MCs, Arrow halfway on Zidane as the second MC. Yeah, lovely. So it's all out attack as Dragons try to rescue their season, but you do just feel that Viduka and Casas in particular, Casas, are going to run rampant with all this space available to them now.
This is going to be carnage, Fifey.
Carnage is the word.
But
let's go to 60 and see just how much carnage it is. A lot of players going forward for Dragons, but they need the ball first. Haggis coming forward. Now Dragons on the counter. Plenty set pieces as we reach 60. Viduka puts it over the bar. And it remains 3-1 with half an hour to play. Have you seen enough to think Dragons can get back in this, Steve?
I think they need... excuse me. I think they need a goal by 60 to give it a chance.
So no,
obviously,
then.
Yeah, I just think Aggies, they've only conceded 2. Them and Fulchester have conceded 2 goals less than us, so they prove themselves to be second best defensive teams in the league. When you're asking for 3 goals for a win to keep you in a playoff push against somebody that's conceded 23 all season, massive ask. And I can't see that being as much as I'd love it to happen for Dragons, for it just to make Thursday as interesting as possible. Just can't see it happening, unfortunately.
Kobayashi comes off for Joe Cole.
He didn't sell out.
As for Dragons, they don't have any more attacking players on the bench, so there's not much more they can do to really try and get back in this. Is there, Tater?
No, he's pretty much played his hand there, isn't he? No, I don't think I couldn't really think of anything else to do.
The only thing potentially, but it would be very risky, would to be match the wingers up and move Dyer and Balmer further forward potentially.
Oh yeah, that's a solid shout. Yeah, that's pretty good. I hope he does that.
Yeah, there we go. And Duggan, just as we say that, says move them up to midfield. Now, how big do you want the arrows? Do you want it Balmer sized or Dyer sized, please?
Rocket
halfway arrows.
Well.
And then Roque for Del Piero if there is time. Of course, there is time. Although I'm not.
So I wonder where burst to a Zidane up with Jinkoviak and David Central as well.
Yeah.
and David's level with Zidane as well.
Yeah. All with arrows.
Well, there is all of the changes announced. So let's carry on and see what more this game has to offer. A Dragons goal makes it very interesting. There is the Dragons goal from Montella. It's 3-2 with 20 minutes still to play. Have they got another one in them? And there's Dyer advancing. And Balmer, Stam gets in the way. And Duff manages to get it. And Viduka, Shiotis with the save. Bishkan picks it up. Zidane and Dyer playing 1-2s. And now Sigalka and Davids. We're into the final 10 minutes. Sigalka wins a flick on. There's Carew, but Stam gets in the way. And Duff attempts it into the final 5. Dragons need the ball. But Joe Cole picks it up himself. And that must surely end it now. Mendieta makes it 4-2. And there's surely no way even the Dragons can pull this one back. Santa Cruz, another fine save. Into injury time. One last chance maybe. Doesn't really matter now. Mendieta, Giggs, Viduka and Cole. And there's the final whistle as Haggis confirmed top spot with a 4-2 win over Dragons. Credit to the away side, they give it everything they possibly could. But Steve Haggis, again, just simply too good, weren't they?
Another super. Yeah, I mean, you look at Dragons there, there's been 8? There's been 14 goals in the last 2 games of bedlam, considering it were a 4DM formation to start with. But yeah, massive credit there to Haggis. Again, they've been regularly in double figures for both shots on goal and shots on target, and he just stumbled across. He's got his players working right, and he deserves massive credit for it.
Mendieta, and Ian mentions it there, how good's Mendieta been? So you just look at those stats, and I'm going to presume this is his most, look at that, by far his most prolific season. He came close a couple of years ago to matching numbers, but he just looks a different class this year, doesn't he, Tato?
Yeah, he looks wicked. I mean, you can see him second season there. He was absolutely quality. But yeah, I think he'll be hot property.
I was going to say, do you think he'll be higher
in the
up
redraft?
the
I think, and
higher
puts him into that category of those top few people that can play centre mid. Maybe he's better in a 2 at centre mid. Don't know him well enough, but he's absolutely smashed it this season. So yeah.
And you mentioned, Steve, that a lot of the Dragons' ratings would improve, and they have done. There's still 5s there for the likes of Balmer and Bishkan, but that they were left sort of isolated, weren't they, by throwing men forward?
Yeah, David's carried on his 5, which is very un-Davids-like as well. I just think that's probably hindered them, the fact that they're big players. Dyer's obviously improved himself a little bit, but the fact that their bigger players haven't stepped themselves up in that second half has probably contributed to the not getting an equaliser and conceding a 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. But congratulations, Haggis, who are confirmed as top of the table going into the playoffs. How many games we got left? We want Fulchester next. Yes. Loco against Fulchester before we get to your 2's games. And second place will be wrapped up with, did we say a win wraps it up, a draw, and it's not over yet, I think, is what we said. I'm so shit at remembering this maths after a couple of games. I used to be good at maths. Fulchester make 1 change. Nicky Butt comes back in for Gattuso. Other than that, unchanged from this side. As we saw earlier, that beat Burn. Gattuso suspended for this one. It always looks very good. There was some criticism of Zanetti's inclusion, and then he obviously went and scored. But when you look at this Fulchester side, Tato, does it look like a team capable of winning, or does it look like it's got a lot of good players, but there are 1 or 2 weak areas?
Yeah, for me, there's weak areas, but I mean, first of all, it's Maka knows what he's doing. This formation is my favourite. My favourite. I love playing 1 DMC and wingers, so I can see why it's doing so well.
Well, it's the same as Haggis have been playing, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that is now sort of winning or dominating the league in a way. His proper winger in Beckham and Nedved, wingers, have got loads of assists before we started the night, which is brilliant as well. Proper
Beckham's
wingers, proper players. So
Beckham's on 10 assists for the season, Nedved on 5. So, if you've got just your 2 wingers alone, Gavin, 15 assists, that's not bad, is it?
No. Class, and he's brought Mandini back in, which was a great move, and he's scoring in goals and he's looking dangerous. So I'm hoping he puts Greavesy out of his misery tonight.
Well, let's just remind ourselves of Loco's position at the moment. So they're on 31. Devils, we know earlier, so they won. They're on 36. So Loco have to win to stand any chance now. So let's move on and have a look at the team that he has gone with, Steve. And it's all change again. We've got the Loco Runners formation this time. Chris Kirkland continues in goal. It's very familiar looking setup here with Tonetto and newer signing Julie out wide. Compe and Tudor as the defenders. Petit, obviously, the main man in the middle. Veron and Scholes either side of Zanoni. Interesting front 2 with Palermo and Vasiliuk. I'm sure this is the first time they've been a two up top partnership.
Yeah, I genuinely think that's a line deal that he's taking him from his reserves. Just want to see if he can get something out of him, in fairness. Julie, obviously we know later in life became a very good player for France. Not somebody I've ever used on game. DMR, will he do something? Who knows? For me, that could have been a bit better with Zanoni there and maybe that central midfielder up in AMC with like Del Vecchio in there who's been over cost at save. He's been a bit of a... He's not pulled massive trees up, but he's been solid and brought out big important goals and assists for him. But yeah, this is his Greaves' 262. He did really well with it before. He normally has his central midfielder with an arrow and lets the other two sit. And it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes.
Well, let's ask you first then, Mr. Wright. A score prediction, please.
I mean, looking at that, you look at Greaves' defensive record, he's only conceded 28, which is better than most, apart from a couple of us. I wouldn't be surprised to see one apiece here.
How many more times tonight are we going to hear about your defensive record, Steve? There's only 2 games left, so I'm expecting at least another 6 times.
If it's 6, I'll give you a deal, but I'm going to 8, and I'll be not mentioned it enough.
Okay, fair enough. Tato, score prediction, please.
Before I give my score prediction, can I quickly have a look at Veron and Crespo? I just want to see how those 2 signings are done because they were a lot of talk.
Where are we?
What was about those 2 stunts? Just very quickly because I haven't had a look at them for a while.
There we go. There's Veron.
Right, he's been absolutely awful. Right, what about Crespo? Has he scored any? Did he do anything?
He scored in his debut and all that.
Right, absolutely awful. So yeah, he's absolutely ruined his season by signing those 2, as I predicted he would. But yeah, so I'm going to go 2-0 Fulchester.
2-0 Fulchester. Well, it's Loco who had the first attempt of the game, but we're already at 17 minutes. Virtually nothing has happened at all. Fulchester building themselves into it, but it's still Loco who are dominating the text at least. Petit goes in the book. A few set pieces, mainly to Fulchester, and there's a red card. And Petit, who is normally Mr. Reliable for Loco, is having none of it tonight. He has been sent off in 31 minutes. Case for Zanoni just to drop back, Steve?
Yeah, I can't see any different. He still wants to keep his... But he needs a win as well, so... Does he?
Oh.
Does he try to go for it?
He's saying roll with it.
Yeah, I thought he
no DMCs again.
Death or glory, says Greavesy. Macca, you do have the opportunity to amend your formation if you so wish.
Get Shevchenko back there in AMC just cause mayhem in that area.
Only Steve would recommend when you've got an extra man to go more defensive.
Well boring, Steve.
Obviously with an arrow. Just
pathetic. Grow up, Steve.
Is Figo not good enough to wreak havoc there on his own?
I mean, he's not, to be fair.
No. Not in my opinion.
No sides.
But I'll give Macca his due. He likes big players on the game. He's got the numbers out.
Shevchenko.
He should be at AMC.
Sorry, Greaves. That's my fault. I've mentioned him.
And it's the first half ends 1-0 to Fulchester. Shevchenko scoring shortly after Petit was sent off. He wasn't moved to AMC purely for that reason. Loco have created one opportunity. Fulchester, by their standards, have not really been able to create much either. And is that just because, Fulchester because of how many decent players they've got back there, Tato, and Loco just because they don't seem to have the tactics right at the minute, do you think?
Yeah, I'd say the three central midfielders for Loco probably blocks out Fulchester's. You usually dominate the ball and create a lot of chances with the centre midfielders. They usually outnumber other teams' centre midfielders, so they're being outnumbered. I know they've had a man sent off and whatnot, but
it looks like
in that central position, maybe not as much of the ball or whatever. But
looks like quite a few side seasons are ending this evening as it stands, Steve. Let's have a move over to Fulchester while we wait. Announcements from either manager, and everything about it just looks that bit stronger. Although, as Tato jokingly said, Figo not exactly utilising all that space on his own, is he?
No, definitely not. And I think he's yeah, and I'd agree to an extent, but he's done bits when it's mattered for Mac. He was terrible for Greavesy, so he's playing against his former club. But look, Macca, this is cementing second for him. Let's be honest, as it stands, and in the majority of time, this cements the title, doesn't it?
So Trezeguet is going up top with Shevchenko dropping back to AMC, Figo coming off for Fulchester. Not really surprised to see that change. I think we'd all agree that improves Fulchester even more. Loco, Scholes and Veron arrows to the centre arrow. What, both like that? And then Zanoni drop back. Oh no, centre arrow on... Oh, so Zanoni stays there with an arrow backwards.
A little stubby arrow again.
Duggan says, Tato, check your WhatsApp.
Oh, sorry.
Now
reminds me of that. Them two people.
I'm not entirely convinced this is what Greavesy wants. This is how I've read it, and then he's just put centre AMC without any further announcement as to what he actually means.
No,
Yes,
I think that's it. I remember Alfie of his old Leicester teams used to play a two up top with two AMCs with them two arrows up to a striker in previous iterations.
Well, let's move on to 60 then and see if these changes alter things at all. Fulchester come forward again, looking for a second, which would, you'd imagine, seal this. They fail to convert, though, and the longer this stays 1-0, the longer you think Greavesy might get back in this. We've reached 61 minutes, Tato. There's still the chance for Crespo or Del Vecchio to come on and have an impact.
Yeah, well, I don't really understand why there's like a tent on the pitch. I don't understand what he's doing with his... I don't know what he's doing there in his weird stubby arrow. I don't really understand. It's not working. It's dog shit. His players are crap.
The reason it's like that, Macca, I believe, is because Petit was sent off. If he hadn't been sent off, it would be a normal arrow. So both strikers are coming off. Palermo for Del Vecchio, Crespo for Vasiliuk. The pants tent, says David. That's my understanding as to why it's like that anyway. Let's move over to Fulchester, Steve. Van der Laan and Curtis there if they want to shore things up, but they're looking relatively comfortable. Maybe Beckham's fitness a consideration now?
I mean, obviously, Van der Laan's been good. John Curtis has been, at times, been absolutely unreal, hasn't he, since coming in. But, yeah, the one doing well. Yepes 6, but he's been very, very good for him throughout the whole time of his Fulchester days. So, yeah, I can't see... I don't see any reason to change anything there.
And we all know you think conditions are myth, Tater.
Yeah, don't even click on it. Waste of time.
Van der Laan is coming on for Beckham. Let's rest the hero, says Macca.
Justified. I think that.
We continue then with Fulchester, a goal up and a man up. But it is Loco coming forward. Now Shevchenko. Nedved goes close but fails to convert. Loco are not giving up on their playoff dream just yet. There's a yellow card handed out and a free kick. They're on with it. 76 now, 78, 79. We're into the final 10. Loco need to score. It's Tonetto. Offside by Zanoni. Kirkland tries to deliver quickly. Van der Vaart, Shevchenko. Well saved by Kirkland. Van der Laan now. Another offside, this time Nedved. And he then trips Julie as he tries to go forward. Nicky Butt, Van der Vaart, Lucio. Throw into the home side, but it's not enough. They need to score. And there's Veron. Crespo was offside. Kirkland beats Comandini to the ball. So we move towards injury time. Zanetti! And there ends Locomotive Boston's season. It all pretty much comes down to Ledisford as to whether... And it's 3-0, Trezeguet. Kirkland is not happy with the defence at all. And we're just waiting the final whistle. Will game week 26 be worth playing, or is it all going to be over tonight? It's been many a season till there was nothing to play for on the final day of the season, so no pressure Ledisford to keep it interesting. But unfortunately for Loco, it's all over for them as Fulchester cements second place in a comfortable 3-0 win at the homes of the first champions of this iteration. And in the end, comfortable was the word, wasn't it, Steve?
Oh, man. There's nothing I hate more than reminding me of seeing two 90-minute Fulchester goals. It ended up with me cutting socks up on a video and what have you, after being 2-0 up. But no, massive congratulations to Macca on second place this season. Taking full control on his own again. Listen, Ryan didn't make Fulchester worse. They've got different views on how to play, different views on players. Mac likes his big players, and he's getting numbers out of big players. And whatever happens from here on in, he's in the best position he can be going into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Looking at the stats here, the captain Pompey tried his absolute best. Tneto, we saw he was trying towards the end as well. But you look at the subs, they had next to no impact. I mean, Crespo, no shots in his half an hour on the pitch. It just wasn't enough for Loco. And you kind of feel although they've been within touching distance a lot of the season, we've kind of been ruling them out for a while, haven't we, Tato? They just never seem to quite do enough. Every now and then they pick up a result just to remind people, but they were just never quite enough.
Yeah, you trust Greavesy to be there or thereabouts with his know-how and his nous, but the actual quality of his players wasn't there this year. Klumpy's had an absolutely immense performance, and I don't know why Veron's having 16 headers. That's a weird, not good enough really from the Boston boys, but they've done as well they can with a crap team.
And Steve, you mentioned when we were looking at Dragons about the big players not turning up, and then you look at Buffon, Lucio, Nedved here tonight. It was the stars were shining bright, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like I say, he's had big numbers out of Beckham all season. Nedved again, another assist. That's now what. He had 22 starts, so that's his 23rd start, and I think that's his 11th goal contribution. Somebody that's been playing left wing, bit of AMC. It's massive to get there. So you got 11 goal contributions there. I think Beckham scored 2, so you got 12. To get that amount of goal contributions from wingers in this league is crazy. And again, Mac deserves massive credit for getting them numbers out of players that nobody would go sign on an home save because literally they can't get it out of them normally.
No, and as everyone says, that he has got that crucial second place sewn up now. So do they now become odds-on favourites to win it? Let's move on, and we've got Ledisford Astor. We want to leave till last, really, don't we? That's the one that's got the most out of the two. That's got the most on it. So let's go to Dudley Hill against Sloths. Sand unavailable for you tonight, Steve. We know that Burn have claimed a point, so currently sit 1 behind Sloths going into the final game, and you've gone full strength in respect of the situation to make sure that Burn stand the utmost chance of their season continuing, although I'm sure it had no sway on your thinking. We were talking off air about your goalkeeper Abbiati and just how good he's been this season. Not often we see a goalkeeper inside the top 5 for average ratings.
No, that solid 5 that he's flung in, it's done me a massive favour. I was a bit wavy, and then since Abiati's come in, it's just been a case of we've just been more solid. And I think I just said when he was on commentary, there's different versions of Abiati. If you get a good Abiati, you get a world-class one. If you get a bad Abiati, you get a bad one. I bought Abiati and Pellizzoli in the same auction window because Greaves did me in, saying he was going for this keeper, that keeper. And he told me what he'd bid from there. He pulled out one, so I ended up with them both. And Pellizzoli got a goalkeeper at year last year, so I can't complain. But, yeah, Abiati, when he was at Sloths, Rob just lost his head with him because he was slinging a silly amount of 5s in. And it felt like it was risk bringing him in, but it's been a good decision looking at it. And, yeah, it's probably helped his commodity come a redraft.
Have you missed the big Astor Leeds game? No, Mike, it's the last one. You have made it in time. We're in the penultimate game now, and then it will be the massive Leeds Astor game, which has a season riding on it. Let's have a look then. Oh, must mention that you've reverted back to 2 supporting 1 with Roy Mackay coming in for this game, Steve, as well.
Yeah, I've got 2 very selfish AMCs there. I don't like either with 2 AMCs, but Luke has given him a chance on his own up front, and it's his very last one.
And
to get an 8.
Tato, just talk us through this.
Yes, look at that. That is disgusting and brilliant. What he's done is negated the decisions in the Super League, sent him in an AMC, and he's just left a massive gap. It's class. I don't know why Parthenov's playing where he is because he's a wing back. His 2 wing backs are decent. Sweepers are god awful, so he's put one in. Love it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I absolutely love it. This is what I'm all about. Well done. Love it.
I imagine they're deploying direct tactics.
Yes, I was thinking that,
but short passing, that's for sure.
But direct never works, ever. Never works. So I would be doing short passing. But if they do direct, what the striker's going to edit down or lay it off to?
To each other.
That's brilliant. It's just chaos. It's just chaos. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays.
Okay, so with Steve in this one, I won't ask him. So can I have a score prediction, please, Tato?
5-1 Dudley.
5-1 to Dudley. Well, good luck to Steve and to Hodgie, as Dudley are the only team attacking in the first 10 minutes, unsurprisingly. And there is one, but it's... How on earth have you managed to be offside with that amount of defensive players? Still no goals as we approach half-time. Sloths dared to look like they were coming forward for a moment there. Massive ooh from Tato. They get a set piece. And we get to half-time. And Sloths look like they withstood half an hour of pressure there, Tato, and then decided, oh, well, if Dudley aren't going to do anything, maybe we will trot forward.
You are so boring, Steve. You are shit. Well done, Spartak. You were class then. Steve, come on, mate. Get Mackay off his crap.
So we got the match stats up. You did concede 1 attempt, Steve, but you were largely dominant. High pass completion, high tackle completion, losing out the aerial battle there.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? From that is, it's the shutout that Hodgie were aiming for. It stinks of 1-0 Sloths. Does this all over it? But
Tato's got his fingers crossed that it does conclude.
Come on, Sloths. Come on, Sloths.
Actually, as you're here, let me go to the Sloths stats first. Ningwa Tulin putting in a good performance. And Tato, you said that sweepers are shit. Look at Jonathan Woodgate's performance.
That is incredible. Look at that. Nobody can get sweepers
working. Genius in the chat as well.
What? He's got a 9.
Jonathan Woodgate absolutely lapping it up in the air and winning the majority of his tackles as well.
Is he a sweeper on the game, or is he just decent? He's just a centre back, isn't he?
Actually, no, I think he is.
Sweeper DC.
DC.
Oh, what a stroke of genius again. from the league greatest ever manager.
And Hodgie saying as is, please. So, Steve, will you be changing anything or rolling till 60?
Yes, sir. I will, mate, please.
Steve's in desperation mode already.
Right.
Have you got enough players back here to deal with the 2 attacking Sloths players?
Nicky Franco for Good Johnson, please, mate.
Yep.
And Nicky Franco central, and then 3 AMCs.
Okay.
Calazza central. Dead Ains and Ette up with arrows to AMC.
Ooh, oh, this is my home save formation.
Anything else?
No, that's good, mate. I love that.
Aaron Vogel.
Bit of Woodgate in free roll, getting into the right positions for the crosses, suggests Dan in the chat. Let's see then. Let's roll to 60 and see if that has any sort of impact. I believe that's Cambiasso going in the book.
On the slots.
And Sloths come forward. Oh, I think I've done that a minute too early there. And we have an injury. Roy Mackay has gone off injured on 59 minutes, Steve. So as the home side, you would get first chance to amend things anyway.
Right.
Zaggy, the only attacking change. Eric Addo, the assist king in this team.
Addo for Mackay.
So Steve's bringing a defender on for an attacker.
Yeah, swapping with Dede. Swap Addo and Calazza. And swap Keane and Dede, please, mate.
So still no Inzaghi, despite everything?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
As for Sloths, let's bring this up for Hodgie. Does he just for lols now throw everybody forward now that Steve's pushed everyone forward?
Yeah, that's it. I'm shafted if he did.
I'd be pulling Amoroso back to centre half. Yeah, definitely. Put Babiaro centre half, 100%.
Obviously got
what's Hodgie doing?
Soglu can drop back in there, can't he? Parfano can drop back in.
Yeah, Pat Soglu can as well. Go on, Hodgie, go more defensive.
More defensive is the cry from the studio. But we'll wait for news from Hodgie to see what he wants to do.
Ooh.
Danielson for Amoroso.
And put him centre half.
I'm presuming he's not playing up front, so he may be going something like this.
I hope he is. I really hope he is. He can play up front, though. He'll be fine on the left up front.
I'm sure he will. But he's not deployed him up front at any time this season. So
he's not done this formation at any time this season.
Oh, no, this is true. So we'll just wait.
Steve, you've done some mental changes there, mate.
No, he wants him up front. So let's... Tato, you seem to be enjoying this. So slightly earlier than other games. Let's slow it down to a fast speed.
This is class. Yeah.
Especially as Hodgie hates it when I slow the games down. Because he likes it super fast where you really can't read anything.
I'll just keep an eye on the possession as well. I'm finding that quite funny.
Cambiasso. Nielsen! Oh, from the free kick. He has to pull off another save. Parfenov tries to get it forward. Now Addo. Free kick awarded. Ferdinand on the volley.
Come on, Hodgie. Come on, Hodgie.
Come on, Hodgie, are the chance.
Yeah.
That's another free kick. And Danielson.
I'll get Vieri on.
Solari. 73 now on the clock. I wish I could see Steve's reaction. Dudley Hill take the lead. And is Luca Tony his first. First of the season. It is game 25.
It's not. It's his third for us. It might be because he's come back.
Oh, that's all right then. That's a good record then.
And is that going to open the floodgates as Keane comes forward? Saved by Ningmatulin. Valgarin clears.
Dudley winning again. Dudley Hill.
Now Dede.
Another clean sheet,
Woodgate
Steve.
goes in the book. Oh, don't bring up his defensive record.
Doesn't concede many, does he?
No. Nicky Forenko, Enigma Tulin again gets in the way. Lamy tries to counter. Have they got one more chance in them, Sloths? Addo on the ball. Keane! Enigma Tulin pushes it away again, and it's a corner kick. While Garin heads it clear. We're into injury time. There's the final whistle, and Dudley Hill win 1-0. Luca fucking Tony, says Macca. Sloths had more than one shot on goal in that second half, surely.
Oh, they've been done dirty there. You were outplayed, Steve.
But congratulations, Steve. That's a nice win for you to continue the form going into the playoffs.
I'm a defensive record, mate.
And your defensive record, of course. Let's have a look at your side stats first. Luca Tony.
Oh, again, Steve, look.
Addo, fourth man of the match this season, that.
Eric Addo has been on the pitch for half an hour and got man of the match.
Why are you playing him?
No, because
you have to question the manager, Tato, surely.
Done.
Absolutely. He's got 6 assists now from DMC, and he ain't playing him. Moron.
Just imagine how good Dudley would be if Steve actually played his best players.
Yeah. It's because Addo is too creative. And he doesn't fit into the Dudley Hill way.
He's too busy focusing on not conceding. He doesn't want creative players.
Really
go on,
not.
Steve. You were gonna make a point before we took the piss.
No, I want to hear. It's I think it's Ebisand. He's got 5 goals in 9 games, but
well, Ebisand, with all due respect, Steve, Ebisand and Eric Addo play 2 completely different parts of the pitch. So one's inclusion does not alter the other one playing.
Yeah, I'm going on to a point where is the justification now for the rest of the season to play Luca on his own up front. Probably so.
What? He scored 1 goal.
But he's on his own up front. Different. He's been playing in the 2. Yeah.
You won the league with him in it too.
If you're still questioning your best 11 in game week 25, then questions really do need asking.
Well, the strikers, they've been. There's nobody in top. God knows how many that have top scorers. So
I don't even want to discuss this any further. Let's move on, Tato, and talk about how unfortunate Sloths were considering their performance.
Yeah, defensively, that is actually pretty good, isn't it? To be fair, because sometimes there's just too many players there and it ends up an absolute shit show, but they've actually looked fairly organised and done quite well there. Woodgate gone down to an 8 with his yellow card, but he was absolutely superb in that sweeper role. So, yeah, really enjoyed that. That was excellent, and I thought they deserved the point.
Do you think people watch this and think that there is room for whether it's a sweeper role or a 3 at the back formation in the Super League?
One manager in the league probably would have done. Yes, I'll leave you to work out who that might be.
Is it the same one who's excited to see teams not playing DMs, not playing CMs, playing with wide forwards and that kind of thing?
Actually, right, then that's 2. Me and another incredibly boring manager in the league who loves defensive formations.
I would like to think that no manager was bored at this stage. I would like to think, but there we go. Questioning their position for next season if they're bored before you even got to the playoffs. But congratulations, Steve, on your 1-0 win this evening. As we move on to the main event, and Ledesford against Astor Athletic. You've got no Neil Scally tonight, which has meant you've adopted this formation, Tato.
It's my asymmetric from back in the day.
It is. And you've even called it Led to Astor 1.
Yeah, genius stuff. That high caliber comedy there in a tactic name. It's pretty much exactly the same formation that I played with Astor and with Leds at the start of the season. I was pretty consistent with it, and I just like it. It's fun. I like what it does, and it's got a lot of my best players in the best positions.
And you were absolutely delighted when you caught up on Friday's show to see that this guy finally opened his Super League account. Yeah,
it's a bit of fun. He's on a home save. His uncapped ratings are often a lot higher, so he's obviously a poor version of the fellow that I know. But yeah, just happy that he scored. And I think he'll score again tonight.
I do quite like the look of a Rayed Roberto wing attack as well. I'm not sure what it is about these two, but seeing them lining up opposite each other, I do think that could work quite well.
Yeah, Rayed is probably best left wing really, or an AMC on his own. But when I've tested adult games, I just sort of play on a home save with this squad. It's either Zeroberto on a 10 or Rayed on a 10, and the other one 6s and 7s and doing nothing. So usually comes down one side. So let us see.
And Mark Kerr with the MC playing in DM, but with the diagonal forward arrow. That you,
I thought you'd like that.
I did spot that straight away.
One. Yeah, that's for you. That one.
That one was just for me, was it?
Yeah, that was a little cheeky one. A little cheeky nod to you, Fifey.
The little Barry
That's it, yeah, Barry Kerr. If we don't win, Fifey, I would like to, because my season will be over, hopefully announce a loan deal at the end of this game.
No, there are no squad alterations for the playoffs.
One more. No. We're not the playoffs. There's one more deal yet to be gone through.
Anyway, Steve, the big news coming out for Asta was that the massively in-form Marco Di Vaio, with 69 since signing for Bern, is out for essentially the rest of the season. Huge blow for Asta.
Yeah, massive. I mean, you look at that. He's got 9 and 3/8, albeit 1/6 in his last 5 games. He's been superb. I think Di Vaio's got space in Super League. I think he's a justifiable player. I think from start of where it all starts in 0102, I think he's very, very good. It's nice to see that he's got players in normalish positions now. I think, like we're alluded to on Friday, Alf's bench has always left a lot to be desired, but he's got a bit of utility and a bit of movable about a bit. As much as everybody knows, I love Steve Finnan massively. He's not a winger for me. I'd have had Salihamidzic there and left him on bench as cover because obviously he can play multiple positions. But Franca has been superb. I tried getting Donovan on loan from Alf before Eddie San come in because he played basically none. He said he wouldn't be part of his plans going forward, and it turns out he has been. Did he score last time out? Or did he come on last time out?
Came on.
There's a reasonable squad there. I think in terms of, like, you're talking about weaker squads, I think they are one of the weaker squads, so still to the 10th. We probably, Sloth's squad probably worse. I don't think anybody else is, to an extent, possibly Gazelles. I think he's done a stellar job this year.
So a reminder of where we are. Hools, despite losing today, have got their cue because of other results. Devils have moved up.
Can't catch them anyway.
Correct. Devils have moved up to 36. Dragons are out of it. Loco are out of it. Without even kicking a ball, Asta are out of it. Leddersford, the only team that can still challenge. They have to win tonight, and they will be 3 points behind Devils again going into the final game. So
they're on -1, aren't they, Fifey, now, because they won by 2 clear goals.
That's correct.
Yeah. They're on -1. So I'd need a minus a win by probably 2 clear goals.
You need to be Asta comfortably here to be in for sure.
Yeah, which never happens. This has got 2 all written all over it, Fifey.
Well, let's find out. Steve, a score prediction, please.
3-1 Leddersford.
3-1 Leddersford. Let's kick off the first half and see what happens. Asta starting quite quickly here. Leddersford managed to withstand that early pressure and now start to come forward themselves. Constantinu getting involved. But we're at half an hour already and Leddersford haven't really laid a glove yet. It's a penalty and Constantinu scores.
Greek weather.
Constantinu scores, and now will that give Leddersford that little bit of impetus to go for more? They're going for a second, but they have got a second. It's Enzo with his first of the season. On the stroke of half time, it's 2-0 to Leddersford, and it's not even. Asta want a penalty. The referee says no, And the half-time whistle goes, and Ledesford are keeping their season alive. Half-time, 2-0 up, exactly what you wanted to see, Tato.
Yeah, world-class performance for a world-class manager there, Fifey. Really enjoying that.
Yeah, okay. If you say so.
Deserved.
I would say you deserve to be ahead, yeah.
To be fair, I thought Aston had the better of first 20 minutes, and then it turned on the penalty.
Very, very well. You had to withstand a bit of pressure there. Let's go to the Aston stats first, Steve. And it's just, I mean, obviously they don't know what we know because of actually playing the games in an order as opposed to them all kicking off at the same time. But this is very average from Aston, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the scene has been done a little bit there, probably because 6 of them 7 haven't been key, but he's done a good job. I think he was pretty poor last time out. Obviously, both centre halves for Alf on a yellow. I think Wes Brown's been fantastic since coming in from this season. I think he's been really good. I just think, have they got enough in what they've got there? The only person there, I mean, Rossini's come in. When Rossini's been playing, he's been liable at getting a goal and getting involved, as is Franca. Probably his 2 go-to players. I don't think there's much you can do from here, in fairness. And I can definitely see Ledesford either seeing it out or adding to what they've got already.
Well, Alf's had ample opportunity there to have a look. So while we wait news from him, Tato, let's bring your stats up. And the thing that jumps out is Ndai doing what Ndai does.
Yeah, he looks good there, doesn't he? I didn't expect him to have that, to be fair. I thought one of my attacking players might have a better rating than 7, but yeah, decent that. It's funny playing Aston because looking at the team, I've had signed the players that he's playing, or I've sold him the players that he's playing, so it's quite enjoyable. Can you extend Riyad's arrow, please, to the centre? And that's it for me, to the midway range, and then that'll do it for me.
Perlo in AM, 210 arrows with Franca as per Stackington.
That's what I was saying earlier, what he used to play with these 2 arrows. I think Delvecchio wouldn't want left. It did really well for him in them times. Playing that sort of formation there and go to a grand final.
Alf, just confirm, do you want Emerson staying there with Ambrosini's forward arrow, or do you want him moving over?
He'll have him central.
I'm sure he will, but he hasn't actually specified it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you wanted me to just do what, sorry?
Just bump Rayad's arrow up one more notch, please. And just go to 60. Yeah? He's not doing it. Yeah, he's not doing enough. Thank you.
We'll just wait confirmation from Alf quickly. Emerson central and arrow off Ambrosini. Let's resume the action and see if Asta can put a dent into Ledesford. Wow, we're at 60 already. Nothing virtually happened there, Tato, which is perfect for you, really.
Oh, I'd say that one, mate. Yeah, that was beautiful stuff.
Conditions are myths, so I won't even click it.
Don't click on condition. Don't offend me. Thank you. I will. Let's keep it the same.
You want to keep it the same?
I regret it, but keep it the same. Yeah.
Still no place for neither of the Inzaghi brothers getting off the bench tonight, then?
Not if Rossini's knocking around now.
Macca saying can't wait to play Lampard, Duff and Quaresma next week. You mentioned that you couldn't see Asta really doing much with a bench, Steve. With their season over, is it worth Alf doing much at this point, or is this still pride to play for?
I think the only thing he's got there, Youngberg on 85 for Salihamidzic and swapping with Finnan. I don't think he's got much he can be doing other than what he's done. But again, with the squad where they were deemed to be 13th. Again, I know I said before the game, I still think he's done a cracking job with what he's had available to him.
If I don't lose here, I've gone all season unbeaten at home, by the way.
Well, I'm going to assume you won't lose here. But never say never as they pull one back. Rossini on 66.
2 all over it, mate.
And now suddenly it's all getting a little bit nervy. As Asta come forward again, Emerson, Fowler, Youngberg, Emerson, Perlo to Fowler, and Perlo picks up again. Rossini but he puts it wide. And suddenly the smile has left the face of the Leadersford boss in the studio. And Dymock wins a tackle, but has to pick up again. Fowler saved. Lets it run free. Roberto clears. It's all getting a bit edgy. It's all getting a bit nervous. Ambrosini again. And we move into injury time. And there's the final whistle. Leadersford to fight another day, but the goal difference did not get the level of improvement that perhaps you were looking for there, Tater.
Nah, but when Devils lose 4-0 in the last game of the season and I win 5-0, it's fine.
It was a bit of a scare, wasn't it, Steve? Astor certainly went for it.
Yeah, I mean, through for far more chances forward. Obviously, on target, similar. I mean, I think it's just obviously look at tackles. One that's probably a die that's got them that 10% better. It's interesting game, and I think it's first time again. I think Al said against the sides in the top 6, it gets results. I think I've drawn with them both times this season, as I did last week, and yeah, it's the bottom 6 sides that he struggled with, and it's bottom 8, sorry. And yeah, obviously it puts it into his, but Franker again, another 8. He's done well. He's putting tackles in for some stupid reason. But yeah, it's been a stellar season regardless.
Yeah, huge congratulations for the season you've got out of this side, Alf, because as Steve was saying, you were predicted to finish sort of around 13th, and I unsurprisingly getting man of the match. Solid team performance in the end all round. They had to work hard for it, Tater.
Yeah, I've done well. It's a bit boring for me. Ray, I mean, he did not touch the ball, did he? Look at that. That is bad. 7 is generous there. But yeah, to be 3 points off the playoffs, I've played mad formations. I get abused most weeks, praised by some managers. I've signed a load of shit players. To still be in the chance of the playoffs, I'm very happy with that. I've enjoyed it, and next season you may see a slightly different Tato.
Well, we look forward to that, but it's not over yet. As we conclude tonight's action with a look at the full-time results, we had Dudley Hill 1, Sloths 0, Gazelles 1, Churchtown 1, Haggis 4, Dragons 2, Leadersford 2, Astor 1, Loco 0, Fulchester 3, Burn 2, Bostock 2, and Devils 3, Halls 1. And that means, as we said, Halls join the Q Club with 1 playoff place remaining. It is a shootout. Devils just need a point to secure it. Their goal difference -1. Leadersford's -2. They need Devils to lose and they need to win. In fact, looking at that would mean simply a win, doesn't it, for you? It's that simple. You have to win, they have to lose.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I'll take that at this point.
Absolutely. Considering it was a 5-team shootout at the start of the night, and now it's just you and them. You've done yourself proud there, Tato. And at the bottom, as we said, 1 point separates Sloths and Burn as well for that battle at the bottom. On Thursday night, then we have got Astor against Burn. So big game that for Burn. We've got Bostock against Loco, means nothing. Dragons against Dudley means nothing. Fulchester Devils. Will Fulchester be resting players for the playoffs, or will they go full strength out of respect for Leadersford? Gazelles against Haggis means nothing. Halls versus Churchtown means nothing. And then we've got Sloths against Leadersford. Realistically, I would say, looking at that I'd like to invite you back, Tato, and you and Hodgie potentially doing comms on Thursday, if that was at all available. But of course, it is open to anybody who would like to join on the final night of the regular season. We can open the Zoom up like we did Friday night and have as many people on as want to, if they so wish. But yes, 1 game to go, still 2 things to be settled. We know Haggis guaranteed top, congratulations to them. We know Fulchester guaranteed second. Churchtown, Dudley and Halls have got their queues, and there are 2 teams fighting out for 1 position and 2 teams fighting it out at the bottom. Congratulations again to Halls and wish Devils, Leddersford, Burn and Sloths the very best of luck on Thursday when their seasons all come to a head. Steve, any final comments from yourself?
The Super League, a massive history of goal difference finishing for a sixth place in terms of whoever it's been over all time I've watched or caught up on in this. So that them two games are going to be one of the most for them managers that are involved. Obviously, Tato and Rob, the bloody Tato and Sloth podcast. I can't wait to have a podcast split out from them about them arguing about who should have finished sixth. But there's still something there that's going to twist and turn. Can't say which way it's going to go because it's going to be fantastic watch either way.
Could there be a Tato and Sloth podcast special episode at some point this week discussing what may or may not happen? It'd be interesting to find out. It's worth saying then, so Thursday we finish the season, and then what I will probably look to do is, just trying to think what holidays I've got for the playoffs, is I might actually say, because it'll be less games, we'll start the playoffs on Sunday, but what I might also do then is, after the few playoff games on Sunday, because there'll only be 2, is then present to the managers my idea for the Super League going forward as well after those playoff games. So the ideas start to flow from next Sunday. But let's end the season on a high first. Thursday night, we've still got 2 things to be decided. Tato, any final words from you?
I'd just like to cancel an agreed loan deal that was possibly going to happen. So, Duggan, I'm sorry, Konstantin, who is going nowhere for the final game of this save, who's not available on loan. Sorry, mate.
That's one way to end the show, that's for sure. But from me, from Steve, and from Tato, it's been another wonderful night of Super League action. Until Thursday night, goodbye.
Cheers, lads.